Good evening, everyone. My name is Deseria Galloway. You heard a little bit about me, but what you don't know is that I'm a product of some of the kids that I serve. I grew up in a two-family parent home, but they was incredibly dysfunctional. In that came some problems, behavioral issues for me. Subsequent to that, I was sent away, out of state, live with relatives, okay? Came back, I left about when I was 8 years old, came back when I was about 14, returned to Minneapolis to just go to Falwell Junior High and then South High, and where I graduated 6 months early. So what did I do? I threw myself into education. And I kind of went out on this limb saying, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. You ever heard of kids that said, nobody never says nothing positive about them? That was me. Okay, so that kind of throws us into, by the way, I do have a bachelor's degree in science and a master's degree in social work, and I have certified as accountant and bookkeeping. However, my work is serving the public or serving, I believe in the power of serving. So that's me, I'm a servant, okay, most of all. Wellspring Second Chance. Wellspring Second Chance is a psychoeducational nonprofit center, 501c3 nonprofit. It is faith-based. And we came to be about 2009, and we started our work about 2011. However, prior to that, we did quite a few initiatives and collaboration work with various organizations, grassroots organizations. And as I continue to do the work with at-risk families, now about 38 years now, I just started feeling that I wasn't doing enough. My husband, who is a co-founder, who's in the audience, my husband, Henry Galloway, you want to wave your hand? Is a co-founder of Wellspring Second Chance, and we used to talk about the problems that we were starting to see we had family, we had friends, we had colleagues, we had cohorts that were finding themselves involved in the judicial system. And we just talked about that so much, and with the work and initiatives that I was working with, like Protect Minnesota and Bobby Brown Beyond the Courts, violence preventions, doing the gun buyback, it just kind of stirred a sense of urgency in my spirit. I wasn't doing enough. Okay, even though we took 70 guns off the street and took those guns and melted them down into art, it still wasn't enough. So one day, my husband and I were talking, and I went to bed. I didn't stay asleep very long because the conversation was so intense. And by the time I awakened, I had this dream. I wanted to start this program. And God gave me the inspiration to just start the program. He gave me the name, which is Wellspring. And Wellspring this is where I got it from. What do you find in a well? Hope, understanding, faith, if you don't have it, appreciation. It goes on and on. A second chance, okay? And so from that came Wellspring, a tree planted by rivers of water which yields fruit in its season. Whenever it does, it shall prosper. But that wasn't all of it. The second chance. And the second chance, which I don't know how many of you know about the Second Chance Coalition, which we are a part of. It is something that's on the move, and we're doing great work, okay? Nurturing the seed that will bring forth a new person. It is our belief that if you change a man's heart, you change his ways. How do I know that? Because I'm that person. I told you I grew up in a dysfunctional home, didn't get much love, victimized on many levels, okay? So I believe, and we believe, it is our belief that if you change a man's heart, you change his ways. Every individual deserves a second chance. One person's mistake should not define them. Tonight I'm going to focus on one of our programs, which is youth-focused, the ages of 9 to 18. And we provide psychoeducational services. We have a psychologist on staff. And that was purposeful because I believe that if you're going to get to the root of the problem, you're going to have somebody that's skilled enough to do it. So our 9 sessions are broken down into different 9 sessions, and we have presenters, staff that present on anger management, conflict resolution, restorative justice, literacy through theater, identity formation, and just keeping it real. What is the purpose behind choice? Build confidence that will enhance the social, emotional, personal, and academic improvement and desire. Minnesota has the lowest graduation rate. That's not okay. And who's mostly impacted by that? Children of color. And what happens when you drop the ball with education? Where do you think they go? The judicial system. There's a correlation between school failure and school failure and incarceration. It's called from the schoolhouse to the jailhouse, the prison pipeline. Okay? So in order to be a part of choice, if they're not enrolled, they have to get enrolled in school. That it is a requirement. Okay? And actually, we get a lot of our kids from alternative schools. They are not kicked out or expelled from their school if they finish their choice program. So that's a kind of a promotional to keep them engaged. Okay? That's what makes us different. Okay? We bring about shifting in their thinking. We provide skill sets that will help them avoid entering or re-entering into the juvenile justice system. We increase the capacity for them to become productive citizens, and we also promote a safer Minnesota. If we help these kids, they won't grow up to be maladaptive adults. Agree? Okay. Positive relationship building with peers, their family members, the staff, and the communities. What else makes choice different? It runs concurrently to another program that's called the HEROES program. This is led by an educator. He's awesome. His name is Israel Moses. Okay? The HEROES program is rules, respect, resiliency, and responsibility. It's an interactive engagement seminar. We teach the kids, they kind of complement what choice does. Remember the restorative justice, the anger management, conflict resolution, literacy through theater. He then complements that by going through the 4 R's. And that helps them self-reflect, self-determination, self-development opportunities come their way, and it continues their success. We're going to talk about a success story now. We have probation officers, law enforcement, staff, parents, relatives that come and check out our kids, okay? And this is not exactly where I want to be. Okay, the success story. She is not alone. She, like so many others, made a mistake and is deserving of a second chance. She was on a downward trajectory. Her perception, her thoughts, and her actions led her to the place in life, this place that she was with us in choice. But choice was clear. Change, transformation is now underway. Choice teaches her she has alternatives, putting her problems and her mistakes and failures behind her. Her success story continues. She learned a new skill set of managing her emotions and triggers. She learned a skill set of problem solving in school, home, and her community. She learned pro-social skills that were modeled by our staff during the course of her programming. She learned to be self-aware, knowing where her personal qualities and her challenges lied. She learned to create a sense of personal mastery and confidence in self. Her narrative. Okay? She remains in high school to this day. She is managing her emotions. She is working to get off probation. She is staying in touch with her support system, Wellspring and Hero. She will be attending a college tour in May. She aspires to be a doctor. She is not alone. I want to tell you about another story. Is that my paper doing that? Okay. I want to tell you another story. You saw a picture of a young lady, a Caucasian woman hugging an African-American girl? That's probation. Our programming is so intense, so emotional. That's the purpose of having a psychologist. That's really what makes us different. We have an 80% success rate. We have kids that have never completed anything in their life that completes the choice program. We give them a graduation. They have to perform their transformation on stage. It's called literacy through theater. In that session alone, the kids increased their ability to write, to tell their story, their ability to comprehend the information that they've gathered through their 9 sessions, and then they perform it on stage. Spoken word, singing. Some just stand up here and do this, okay? And the POs that come, they'll tell you how emotionally it gets. We're very intense. It's psychoeducational. So we're not just scrubbing the surface, we're getting to the root of the problem. Now, we have a young man who was going through the program. He was in his 2nd session. Remember, we have 9. While he was meeting with his PO, well, what happened was he left the session. A couple days later, we meet once a week, Wednesdays, from 6:30 to 9 o'clock. He goes hang out with his friends. Wrong place, wrong time. Okay? He goes and hangs out with his friends in St. Paul. Something happens. He doesn't commit the crime, but he's with the people who committed the crime. He's on probation. PO calls him into the office. He tells him, he prepares him. They're going to violate you. This was your second chance. The choice program was your second chance. The choice is clear. Remember, he is not alone. Okay? So what he did, he told the PO, he said, I understand I'm going to be violated. He said, but can I just ask one thing? Can I just complete the choice program? Sorry. Can I just complete the choice program? The probation officer was so moved by his plea to complete the program that he wrote the progress report to include the choice program completion and told the judge, let's give him a second chance. He did complete the program and is doing incredibly well to this day. That's what we do. We make change. We impact change with every child that comes through our doors. What makes us different from other people? First of all, we have a psychologist that works with us to do this. Secondarily, we get to know them on an intimate level. We have a kid that was faced with some crises. You have to understand they're not going to come into the session and be focused if they're faced a crisis, just 10 minutes to get to the program. So we have staff that are sitting around that will recognize okay, I'm going to take him out or her out. Okay? What else makes us different? And this is what I would encourage teachers to do. Our kids come from their ecosystems impact and contribute to their problems. These kids did not get there by themselves. I told you I was a product of a dysfunctional family. I still excelled, and I have to give my grandmother and the aunts and uncles credit, because without them I wouldn't have made it. But there was one educator that took me under her wing. I graduated 6 months early from high school. I threw myself into education because I wanted to prove a point. Didn't know I was going to graduate early. The one educator took time with me, a troubled kid, and said, Des, you're graduating 6 months early. Are you going to college? No, ain't nobody talked to me about no college. They told me I was ugly, I was no good, you're never going to be anything. Okay? So she's like, you know what you're going to do? You're going to come to school a half an hour early every day. And you're going to sit down and you're going to apply for colleges. That's what we did. I got accepted into 4 out of 5 colleges. What am I trying to say to you? What am I trying to convey to you? is that kids need to know that you're real. Keeping it real, by the way, an author is coming to our gala. Awesome. And his thing is the real, because that's what it's about. Kids can tell if you're doing it for a paycheck. So for teachers who have our kids 6 hours a day, I challenge you. Get to know the student. Yes, you can confront the wrong, confront the infraction, but don't focus on the infraction. A kid that is a leader in the classroom and acting a butt and everybody's thinking he's cool, what is his skill set? What is his talent? Can anybody tell me what that is? He's a leader. He has leadership qualities. Now, what do you need to do? Tap into that, flip the script, and say, you know what? I see something in you. That's what she did to me. I see something in you. Psychoeducational programming deals with the humanistic aspect of a person. The social, the emotional, every spiritual aspect of a person. That's why I love the work. I love the work because we are making a difference in the Minnesota area. We're contributing to the Safer Minnesota. It's a win-win for everybody. I challenge you today to make sure that you have a story like this. She changed her narrative. The young lady up there changed her narrative. That's her gift from our agency. The dream. I want you to dream. Okay? The book you cannot really read, but I had to, when I give out a token of remembrance and they stay involved with us after they graduate, I want them to remember something. That book, she said something in one of our sessions, and I thought, whoa, the princess in you. Catch the dream. She is not alone. Those staff below there, and all of them are not shown there. We're going to be there for her. We're going to make sure that she gets everything she needs. And to our surprise, I don't even think her family or her parents showed up to that graduation. But she's still not alone. Thank you.